Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special Friday edition of the WSBA here on our Wolverine Studios Twitch account. We're very excited for this sim as it is the final one of our inaugural regular season. We'll be simming down the last 11 days of the regular season on this sim, and we'll find out who makes the playoffs. We'll talk a little bit about those playoff matchups, and for all the teams who aren't making the playoffs, we'll take a look at seeing who could be in the next draft. So we'll give them something to look forward to. And we've got GM Games rating the channel. Awesome. They're coming over from their sim. They run the CBGM League, the college basketball league. You can find all about that featured league on our website at wolverinestudios.com. Just click the featured leagues link and check them out. They have an incredible league going for Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2021. So you definitely want to check those guys out and give them a look. So thank you guys from the CBGM who have come over and rated our channel. Also welcome in all of our followers and our subs. Thank you guys for your support of the channel. And of course our league members who are excited to get on to the playoffs here. In the East, we've only got about 6 or 7 games left per team. That means Chicago and OKC have the number 1 seeds locked up, so they are good for the top seeds in the East and West, respectively. The playoff race, there's still a playoff race in the East, and thank you for those new follows, guys. Atlanta and Detroit. Detroit with an outside chance, probably not going to make it. Miami's been playing well as of late. Atlanta's stumbled, so probably come down to one of those two teams. Milwaukee, they've had an interesting season. They started out good. Foreman got hurt. They went in the tank big time, and then they roared back to be in the playoffs, and now they seem to be falling again as the season comes to a close. Out west, it's much less dramatic. Houston in the 8th spot. Minnesota's still got an outside chance at that one, but other than that, that is it. So let's get right onto it so we can get through our 11 days of this sim, and then we'll talk playoffs. We can see Sean Roberts was named WSBA Player of the Month from OKC. No surprise there. And Jedi checks in. He says they're here for the lottery. That'll be a couple sims away. Jedi, but I'm here for the lottery too, as my team, Orlando, just stunk. Dimitrova from Toronto, the WSBA Player of the Week. And Hoops guard Matt Metcalf, WSBA Rookie of the Month. So at least Brooklyn. I don't know if Brooklyn's in here yet or if they'll be here tonight. But at least they won something. So here we go. Big slate of games here on April 1st. And some important games, I'm sure. So they're still jockeying for position going on. So teams need some wins. Milwaukee with a terrible loss there. Brooklyn scored enough points to win because they don't play defense. Miami with a win. Philly, Cards gets a win. Hopper with another triple-double for Washington. Charlotte. So Atlanta has a chance to catch up and loses to Charlotte. That's been kind of the season for Atlanta. Jedi keeps his lottery hopes alive with a loss. And Portland rolls over Memphis. OKC and Chicago wins. I guess the interesting thing down the stretch will be, can OKC avoid that 10th loss? Hopper had 42, 11, and 18 in his triple-double. Very impressive with 4 steals, too. Tony, Dimitrova. Nice games out of them. Kirk Brewer from Orlando, 13 assists on the night. Not that it did us any good. I think the MVP race is going to be interesting. No games on the 2nd here scheduled for the big league. So here we go. Important games on the 3rd. Milwaukee, Atlanta, Miami, all in action. First 3 games. Desperately Milwaukee has got to win some games here soon. And Minnesota and Houston. Houston's got a 3-game lead now, it looks like. So Minnesota's kind of in a must-win situation. Philly gets a win over Milwaukee, but Atlanta loses and Miami loses. It is a race to the bottom in the East. Dimitrova has blocked 150 shots. Wow, Denver upsets Memphis, and Portland just lays an egg against Cleveland, surprisingly. OKC holding on 69-9. Chicago with a win as well. Welcome, Cards. Glad to see you, even on the General Manager Games account. That's fine. CTG, glad to see you guys in the house. Those guys are doing great work streaming, by the way. Make sure you're following us on Twitter because we always retweet what they're doing, and then you can follow them. Shada Sambatashvili, 39 points. Delea, 39 points. Chambers, 33. Riggs, 31. Greer, 31. But odd game for Portland. Portland's my kind of dark horse for the playoffs, and just bad news there. Maybe they're just looking ahead. But the East teams, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Miami, all lose. Gives Detroit a little bit of life there. On to the fourth. Doesn't look like anything too important here. Boston, even though they lost Stackhouse, still hanging on. Orlando with a meaningless one. Toronto, what? What? Toronto with a didn't show up against Charlotte. Thank you for the comment, G Raider. He says the interface is clean, very nice. He's digging the logos. Yep, these are all our fictional logos. Obviously, we're just running a fictional league here in the WSBA. There is a mod pack, of course, just like there is for the college game. Our community does such fantastic work on those things. But we do put a lot of effort into our own fictional logos and images and stuff like that. So we've got Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Milwaukee kind of in a must-win situation here. They've really struggled. Detroit and Miami, huge game for both of those teams. And no OKC on this one. And Milwaukee gets that win over Brooklyn because Brooklyn doesn't play any defense. Even though they've tried, it's not Brooklyn's fault. They've tried to bring in defensive players, and they just haven't played any defense. I don't understand. Brooklyn's just got to outscore people. That's been their MO all year long. They just not played a lick of defense. Let's take a quick look at the standings as we head into the final few days. Miami has moved into the 7th spot via either head-to-head tiebreaker or division. Detroit and Atlanta are tied, but both 3 back, so probably not going to happen. It's probably locked up there. And Houston probably has enough space there to hold off Minnesota as well. But we'll see what happens. Eagles last chance here against Toronto, so probably not. Washington and Houston. Philly trying to get playoff positioning, and OKC. Can they hold off New York for win number 70? Toronto downs Atlanta. Boston beats Orlando. Good for my lottery hopes. Washington over Houston. Philly squeaks one out versus San Antonio. OKC, 70th win of the season behind a triple-double from Shada Sambatashvili. So good news for OKC fans. They've got 70 wins. And they play Memphis here as they go for 71. Miami and Boston, that's a big game for Miami. Philly and New Orleans, that should be an interesting matchup. Brent Delea with his 2,000th point scored on the year, but not enough points scored to beat Chicago. Milwaukee loses. Washington loses. What is going on with Charlotte here at the end of the season? OKC 71-9. Shambatashvili 2,000 points. Sean Roberts has blocked 150 shots. And Golden State drops on to LA. Charlotte has been red hot on this stream here. We can see Clarence Hopper was named the WSBA Player of the Week. We've got 4 days left in this sim here. We've got Toronto and Washington within 2.5 games, so Toronto's probably pretty good for the 2 spot. Boston and Philly. Boston, I'm really surprised how well they've handled losing Stackhouse. Philly's got a chance to pass them, but it looks like it's just going to be for home court positioning in their series. Brooklyn settled in as 6, and Miami and Milwaukee looks like they will make the playoffs, but desperately trying to avoid Chicago, although Toronto's certainly not a great team you'd want to be playing either. Charlotte doing their best to ruin their chance for the top pick. And it looks like out west, 2 games separate those teams, so probably not going to see a lot of change in those standings. And it looks like Memphis will, despite struggling recently, hold on to that 7th spot and get Golden State instead of ending up with OKC. So still some big games to play here in the last 4 days. Dimitrov with 2,000 points on the season. Atlanta upsets Milwaukee. I don't understand Milwaukee either. They're just... I guess they want... Milwaukee has been such a strange year. They're going to end up possibly with Chicago because they've fallen so far down here at the end of the season. All right, big night of games here. Let's see if Charlotte can mess up Miami's season down the stretch here. Portland and Golden State, that's going to be a good one. Utah and OKC. That might be the best chance for somebody to beat OKC in the rest of this regular season and give them loss number 10. Orlando upset Chicago. I think I did that earlier in the year too. Can't beat anybody else, but Detroit over Boston, San Antonio over Indy. Charlotte does it again to Miami. Philly gets a big win over Memphis. Hopper with a triple-double and another Washington win. Portland over Golden State. Lee Taylor gets his 2,000th point of the season. And OKC got the win over Utah. So still on just 9 losses for the season for the Twisters. Two days left here in the regular season. Big positioning game for Miami. Could be a playoff preview, Toronto and Miami. And Toronto squeaks by. Ross Barrett for Denver has scored 2,000 points this season. So Denver's going to have a big score coming back next season to rebuild with. And we have reached the final day of the regular season here. We'll check the standings just to see if there's anything that can happen on this last day. So Chicago's 1, Toronto's 2, Washington 3, Boston and Philly deadlocked here for home court. Brooklyn will be 6. Milwaukee and Milwaukee has one game left to play. Miami is done, and they have made the playoffs. So that Milwaukee game will be huge today, as will be games for Boston and Philly. Out west, Houston has made the playoffs. Houston and Memphis both with important games. And I don't know how the tiebreaker shakes out there. If Memphis wins, then they'll avoid OKC. So that's all Memphis has to do. Memphis has to get one more win. Portland and New Orleans will be a very interesting first-round game if they don't win 50 and have an LA loss and have the tiebreaker work out in their favor. So we got a lot that can happen in this last day. And Memphis, Kid Coffee Black is in here. Please, just one win. And Van's looking for the D-League playoff picture. We can check out the D-League standings and see how things went there. All right, let's see. Oh, Boston needs a win, but they play Chicago. Milwaukee needs a win, but they play Brooklyn. Where is Philly? Philly's got Charlotte. Can Charlotte ruin one more season here? Memphis. There you go, Kid Coffee. You got Houston here. So, I mean, this is the game right here for Memphis and Houston. And OKC has to go to Dallas to get their 73rd win of the season. A lot of intrigue for the last day. That's what we like to see. Chicago with a big win over Boston. Brooklyn finally plays some D. Philly holds off Charlotte. And Marvin McDonald gets injured again. Washington with another big line out of Hopper. Portland over LA and LA over Phoenix. Golden State gets win 61. And we had some injuries come up there. We'll have to check the injury report out. And let's scroll back here. OKC got their win as well. So we are ready for the playoffs. Let's take a look at the playoff setup here. Out west, OKC hosts Houston. Utah will host the LA Commodores. New Orleans will host Portland. And Golden State will host Memphis. In the East, Milwaukee has nobody to blame but themselves as they end up having to go to Chicago. Philly gets home court against Boston. Washington will host Brooklyn in a very good matchup. And Toronto will host Miami. We will come back and break down those matchups in just a minute. We'll have a quick save here. And OKC, what a season for them. Just 9 losses on the year, 73-9, including winners of their last 10 at least. It only tracks the last 10. In the D-League, let's see who had a good D-League team this year. Sioux Falls, 46 win. Memphis, 45. Erie had 44. Lakeland, all right, my D-League squad's up there. Maybe I should pull some guys up from there. All right. As promised, before we break down the playoffs, for all us lottery teams out there, myself included, let's take a look and see kind of who ended up at the top of the future draft scouting board here. Denny Benham, a center. Again, the underclassmen have not declared yet, so they are still probable in the pool. But Thurman Ilver from Illinois, 32.5 points per game, 14.9 rebounds per game. So we got some nice prospects here. Ron Lofton, he averaged 30 and 12 basically. Henry Webb was the number one prospect for most of the year from Tennessee State, small school. So we've got some talent, looks like, coming in this draft for all of the tankers and not so good teams. 4 D-League select players also for the draft. Robert Richard, Chris Jones, Kelly Mason, and Jaron Lake. So we've got a couple of guys each team can check out on their D-League team right now. LA, Springfield's got 2 of them, and Westchester. And yet, Jedi Benham went up to the number 1 ranked prospect. So we've got an interesting draft coming up. But yeah, let's talk playoff matchups here. I don't know if the D-League playoffs aren't set yet. All right, so let's talk about the playoff matchups. We'll start out west. Obviously, I think OKC and Houston, that's a no-brainer. OKC is going to roll that one. That should be a sweep, no problem. Utah and LA, that one intrigues me. Utah has been really, I don't think we've talked a lot about Utah over the course of this year. But I think that they're a really solid team. Migley is really good. He was the All-Star Game MVP, I believe. I think Utah has a good chance there. As I forget who pointed it out a couple of comments ago, but the 3-6 here is what I really think is going to be interesting. New Orleans and Portland. I like Portland for an upset. Chambers and Claver are really good. So I think Portland can do it there. That'll be a good. I think that's going to go the distance there. A lot of back and forth. That series will start when the road team wins the game, as they say. I think Portland could get one of those early games in the series. And then Golden State and Memphis. Golden State's been really good all year with Lee Taylor. Memphis, Memphis has struggled. Kid Coffee will admit that Memphis has struggled, but at least they've got a chance in that series. I wouldn't say it's a good chance, but there's at least a chance for Memphis. So they did well to avoid OKC. But it should come down to OKC and Golden State. Those two have been the best 2 teams all year long in the West, and obviously I don't think anybody can stop OKC. But if anybody out west can, I think Golden State beat them once earlier in the year. I'll go check out OKC's schedule and see who actually beat them. But I think OKC's probably going to win it all. Out east, Milwaukee's been terrible recently. Foreman gives them a chance every game, but I don't see them beating Chicago there. Philly and Boston is a really great series. I gotta like Philly in that one because Boston doesn't have Stackhouse. And Boston's played really well without him. I'm surprised. I would have expected Boston to fall at least to 6. But they hung on. So credit to Boston for hanging on. But I think Philly wins that game. And then Philly and Chicago in round two. It's not a slam dunk for Chicago. Chicago probably will win that series because Philly seems to underachieve when they, when the lights are bright so far this season. But with Warren, if he's got a triple double going, Philly's got a chance. I mean, Warren is so dynamic for them, but Warren's got to play big to give them a chance against Chicago. Washington and Brooklyn, as Van just said, he says that goes to whoever sets the pace. If the underbets win, we win. I mean, Brooklyn has to outscore people. They've tried to address defense, and if they tried. I can't say that they didn't. They made a lot of moves trying to address defense. It just hasn't worked. If Hopper gets going and he gets loose, Brooklyn's going to be in for a long series. Brooklyn Brooklyn should have been the fifth seed. They had plenty of time to catch Boston, but their defense just was bad. I think Brooklyn's got a chance in the series, but I like Washington there. Washington's been more consistent. Hopper is as consistent as they come. And then in the 2-7, Toronto and Miami. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear from Chris if he's happy he got Miami versus Milwaukee. Miami's just a scrappy team with Logan and some other guys, and they played them close in that last game. So I don't know. I don't think Toronto will lose that series, but I don't know. I don't know if I almost would have rather had Milwaukee. I think if I was Toronto because they've been so bad. Let's see. Cards would rather take Miami than Milwaukee. Milwaukee is such a one-trick pony though with Foreman. If you can shut Foreman down, Milwaukee's not going to beat you. But either way, I think that the top seeds all advance in the East. Typically in the NBA, you get a lot of, it works out mostly as the top seeds advancing. And then, out East, like I said, I think Chicago and Philly will be a good series, but Chicago probably wins. Washington, Toronto, a very good series as well. That I think will be a toss-up. I think either team could win that one. And we're probably headed for OKC, Chicago. And I think everybody's expected that for weeks now. And I don't think it will be a surprise that that's what we end up with. Let's check the injury report just to make sure any of those predictions don't go out the window because of injuries. Boston, we know Stackhouse is out. Brendan Stringer should be back early in that Brooklyn series. Marvin McDonald, I'm sure Cleveland is happy he got injured again after they wished bad things for him. Golden State, Lee Taylor, obviously he's their best player. He's only got one more day to go. Houston, it's not going to matter. They're going to lose to OKC. Memphis is healthy. Miami, Nick Younger's been out a while. Roger Berlin, that's not new. OKC, that's not a big one. Philly is healthy. Portland is healthy. Toronto, Utah are healthy. And Washington has Zubac just one day. So we've got healthy teams outside of Boston with Stackhouse into the playoffs. So that's a good start for the playoffs. Van asked, will we do one round per sim? I think so. I think what we'll do is we'll try to, kind of take it slow and evaluate each game because there's only a few. We'll have a nice slow sim, and then when we get to the finals, maybe we'll go to the 2D again or something like that, and we'll see. Maybe we'll set up multiple streams that week and do the 2D games. We'll see. We'll see how how the playoffs goes and how we get there. But so we are ready for the playoffs. And teams are healthy. Teams are ready to go, and I think it's going to be a very exciting playoff run. I don't know if anybody can stop OKC. I did want to check their schedule and see who were the 9 games that they did lose. They lost. Well, they did lose at Houston. That's surprising. They lost at Houston. They lost at New Orleans. Beach Bear, thank you for the follow. They lost to Minnesota. San Antonio, Philly. Houston again. Wow, Houston gave them 2 of their losses. Maybe Houston's got a chance. Minnesota again. Houston and Minnesota combined for 4 of their losses. Chicago. And Utah. Those are the 9 losses for OKC on the season. So very, very impressive season for OKC, and they've got Houston to start. So we'll see. I think that will be a sweep, as I'm sure everybody else does. Jedi goes with Portland, Chicago. He thinks Portland has a chance to upset. I mean Portland. Maybe if anybody does, it's Portland. But I think Golden State might be better than Portland too. So I don't know. Portland's the 6th seed for a reason. They did lose a lot of games, but we will see. So that is it for us tonight. It was a great stream. We appreciate the CBGM guys coming in. I know is Van. Thank you. Van has just subscribed for another 2 months with Prime, or he's subscribed for 2 months with Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, just as a reminder to everybody, you can link it free to your Twitch Prime account, and then you get 1 free subscription every month. You just have to remember to renew it every month. It doesn't cost you anything. It's totally free, and it supports us. It helps us. We get a little bit of financial help that way from Twitch for everybody who subscribes. So thank you for that. Chris, are you going live now with the CBGM? We can try to type that, try to raid you guys back if you want. Okay, so we're going to end it tonight here for our stream. Thank you guys for coming out. Absolutely, GRA 2001, he says, time to go and buy your game. It's always a great time to go to Wolverine Studios and pick up any of our games, especially with the tournament again this weekend. I know everybody's going to be pumped for college basketball again, so make sure you check that out. We always have free demos too. All of our games, you can check them all out. Download free, play them, make sure they're good for you, that you like what you're getting, and then you go to our web store at wolverinestudios.com, purchase that license key, and you just plug that in next time. You don't have to download anything else. You don't have to restart. You just keep rolling right where you're at. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you to all our new followers. We are 2 away from 400. That'll be a big milestone for us when we hit 400 followers. So just 2 away from that. Thank you, Van, for picking up that subscription again with Prime. We appreciate that. And thank you. We will be back Tuesday night. We're changing our schedule to Tuesday nights from now on for the WSBA. So we'll be back on Tuesday to start round 1 of the playoffs. So I hope you guys will come back for that. Thank you, everybody. And have a great night. We'll see you next week.